The body is definitely deteriorating by the minute. The mind is still very sharp, still very cognizant, still very determined. But as you all know, without the body, the mind also suffers. So, and the deterioration is happening exponentially. It's not, a little bit here and there. It's a little here and then a lot there. So I'm getting there to that point. Sure. Just that I'm doing this just for transparency and for justice. It's like you all said, the relationship is broken, the trust is gone. So the only way that they can repair that trust is by saying we have nothing to hide. We want an independent investigation to prove that we can rebuild this relationship between the law enforcement, the local government, and our community. Well, I believe it started escalating when Jeremiah LaRue took office as sheriff, and then he's quoted as saying, "Go after the water," and then ever since then, the shooting, like I've said previously, is the culmination of the escalation of tensions between local law enforcement, local government, and the surrounding community against our community. They've been galvanizing the community against us. They've been calling us cartel, mafia, buzzwords, dog whistles to dehumanize us, demonize us, and we haven't had a voice to fight back. Truth. Like we said, if the evidence, the video evidence, and the independent investigation corroborates the officer's account, then we would accept that, and then we would mourn it as a terrible tragedy, as a terrible mistake, and we would thank the law enforcement officers for doing the best they could. But if the investigation turns out that it was a lie, that it was a gross, negligent cover-up, then we would demand justice. We've tried protesting, we tried making phone calls, we tried everything, and we've been ignored. We've been ignored, and we've been lied about. Even as we fought the lava fire in our own private property, they lied about us, lied about what we were doing. So I knew the only way that we could get a platform was a platform that people would pay attention to. And I knew that times were extreme and desperate, so that I went to embark on this desperate measure. And I wanted to show them how serious we were by continuing this until I absolutely have to. And I wanted to give the people here who have been treating us as inhumane one final shot to say, hey, we do want a peaceful resolution. We do care as a people to say you hurt, but you do so in a peaceful way. And they haven't given any indication that they care about the peaceful way.
So I'm here as the immediate past chair and as a current member of the California AAPI Legislative Caucus. I'm here to stand in solidarity with our Hmong community and to let you know that we are in this fight together. As a former criminal prosecutor and civil rights attorney, I believe that an independent investigation into how and why this death occurred is wholly appropriate. A human being lost his life, and we all deserve to know why. Let me just close by saying we need justice for the family of Mr. Hawj, for the Hmong community, for Californians. We stand with you during these dark days. We need answers, and we look forward to hearing from officials in Siskiyou County on what they're planning to do, and we'll continue to monitor this situation as it continues.
Well, in the past recent years, when LaRue has been taken over, appointed as taken over the chair, he has been promoting racism, hatred towards the Asian community here in Siskiyou. Now, with all the violence that he's been promoting, saying that all these Asian cartels, labeling us, Asian cartel, Asian mafia, coming out as soon as this water ordinance came out to the newspaper. Not 2 hours later, they came out and start enforcing the law on driving away the water trucks that was on private roads, not even on county road, on private roads, They do unlawful investigation on there. I did talk to, I actually talked to one of the sergeant that was doing the investigation. He told me he was doing investigation on private property on those water trucks, and he threatened me if I don't stop, he's gonna arrest me. I told him, go ahead, I did nothing wrong. This is private property. Unless you have proper paperwork, you can go ahead and leave and stop harassing this Asian community. He put his hand on his gun. The only thing that I have on me was my camera. I was taking videos. I saw him put his hand on his pistol. And so it only takes a split second to do something with that. And I did call him out on that. I only have my cell phone. I'm unarmed. You know, are you gonna shoot me? Okay, just to put it on my video for my own protections.
At this point, we just want to know, will there be an investigation? And if not, then, let us know. Because as you all can see, Zurg, to put it bluntly, is dying, right? I mean, I just saw Zurg in person 2 days ago. And so to see him now on video, to see the deterioration, because he's a very smart, bright man, you all can see that. But, just 2 days ago, I mean, we're talking about night and day in terms of what's happening with his health. So as his attorney, I want to make sure that his rights are being respected out there. He is very vulnerable. He's out in the open. And for those who are not familiar with Siskiyou County, we're talking about temperatures in the 90s and 100s, right? So it is hot out there. So we're just making sure that, first of all, that nobody's harassing him. And second of all, be his representative, hopefully trying to get a dialogue going with the county officials.
I think when we say time is of the essence, we mean every second and every moment, given that Zurg is now officially on day 19th of his hunger strike. Let me just say first, I'm incredibly proud of the great work that our local organizers are doing on the ground and Tong, but also want to give a shout out to our community activist, Zurg Xiong, who's actually joining us here today as well, to seek justice and ask for an independent investigation. I think many of us know, we've heard from Zurg, we've heard from Tong as well, that Xiong Gao's tragic murder, the father of three, that his murder and his death can't be separated from the discriminatory policies and racist practices that's been happening over the years in this county, and specifically by Siskiyou County Board of Supervisors and their Sheriff's Department. Our communities know too well, and I've shared this over and over again, how the system continues to be stacked against minorities, against Hmong and Asian American communities. A couple years ago, there was a news stories regarding voter intimidation in this county. And now you have heard from Tong and organizers about the discriminatory water policy, and all of this have really led to the tragic death of our Hmong brother, Xiong Gao, and I'll continue to say his name, by the hand of law enforcement. All of this is connected and you can't separate it. Like, we know that water is a right, and we're seeing water being denied to families, to children, to folks who live in this area. And what you're also seeing, what I've heard firsthand from Ground Zero, is if you look Asian, you get pulled over completely, right? To see what's in your car, right? Your truck, how much water you're carrying, right? That in itself is racial profiling. That is happening right now in the state of California, in Siskiyou County. And this is the reason why organizers on the ground, and Zurg in particular, do not trust the local government, the sheriff, and the DA's office.
So my first observation is that Asian Americans have long been rendered invisible by our public officials, political leaders, educational system, as well as the criminal justice system, which has made it possible for injustice and racism to take place without any accountability at all. The Hmong American community and other highly marginalized communities within our AAPI designation are especially invisible and vulnerable to this kind of abuse. My second observation is that it is critical to have an independent investigation with oversight from the State Attorney General's office, as well as those who are familiar with Asian American Pacific Islander concerns, because our communities have been historically demonized by police, as we see what's going on now in Siskiyou County, and falsely assumed to be so many things: illegal, deviant, criminal, and therefore targeted by law enforcement from local as well as to federal levels. There are too many examples of that where the AAPI community has needed assistance and the justice system has failed us, or has even used deadly force against the Asian American community, as with this heinous police killing of Mr. He.
Unfortunately, this is not the first time our communities have experienced this type of hate, and even at the hands sometimes of law enforcement. And when I say communities, I mean that very broadly. Growing up myself in Montgomery, Alabama, I know all too well when law enforcement alongside white supremacists have targeted African-American sisters and brothers. We know this year, it is the 100-year anniversary of the Tulsa massacre, where again, individuals came after communities of color and Black Americans. In May, we released a report, a national report that found that Asian Americans had experienced and reported to us 6,600 incident reports, which we know to just be the tip of the iceberg, because the Pew Research Center has said that 45% of our community members nationwide, 8 to 10 million people, have experienced some form of hate or discrimination in just the last year. In California, that number of 6,600 translates to 40% or 2,600. And so it's so important that our elected leaders take action.